Ta-da!
In an age of destruction, where life is held captive by fire and sword, courage and honor still remain in legendary battles.
Hello fantasy fanatics, Matthew here from, you guessed it, Lund, Sweden. For today's episode of Legendary Battles, we are going to do something a little bit different than what we've done in all the other Legendary Battles. If you notice over here, we have only got one banner up here today, the banner of the Empire. And the reason for that is we are going to try a solo scenario where we have the Empire versus nature. In this case, the Empire versus 5 Highland sheep. And the scenario, let me see if I can see it from here. The scenario we're going to be playing today is called Hunt in the Misty Highlands. Now, before we take a look at the army and before we take a look at the board, let's of course first take a look at the legend itself.
The Empire campaign against the fierce Norse Warriors of Sturemark has raged on longer than Emperor Karl Franz could have anticipated. The Imperial supplies have now become scarce as the hunger of soldiers begins to replace the thirst for blood that carried these same soldiers into the front lines. In response, the Empire generals have sent out several hunting parties into the Misty Highlands in order to track down the great Highland sheep so as to return to camp with much needed sustenance. However, to complicate matters, not only is time running out, but a thick fog has descended upon the Highlands, cutting down the archers' visibility and making their desperate commission far more daunting than imagined.
Here are the forces now that you're going to use in this campaign. We have got 15 Empire archers. We're going to put them into groups of 3, so units of 3, 5 of those. And down here now we have our 5 Highland sheep. We've given them a little bit stronger statistics because they are going to be great Highland sheep. So for example, movement 2d6, weapon skill 1, strength 2, toughness 3, 3 wounds, and initiative 2. Although these will not be attacking back, they will mostly just be fleeing from the archers. But a little bit stronger and a few more wounds than normal. These are going to be some hardy sheep. And here's our setup now. We've got a standard 4-foot by 4-foot board. Covered nicely with lots of terrain, hills and stones to give us our Highland effect. Let's go ahead and get our sheep and get our archers deployed, and we can show you how that looks. And here's the deployment now. We've got our hunting bands no more than 12 inches from the board edge. Hunting band there, here, here, and then we've got a hunting band over here. Over on this side now we have the sheep randomly deployed. You roll a D3, a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6 for how you deploy them. Once again, no more than 12 inches from the board. So we have pretty heavy on this side, 4 sheep and 1 sheep here. Let me run through a few special rules for the scenario. The first one is the Highland miss. Now, due to a thick fog in the Highlands, the visibility of the Empire archers is going to often be restricted. At the start of the Empire turn, so we roll a d6, and on the roll of a 1 through 5, the fog remains, and visibility is limited to 8 inches. This means that the archers are unable to fire or charge if they're outside of this 8-inch bubble. On a roll of a 6, the fog has lifted for this turn, and the archers may shoot and charge with normal visibility. A second rule is going to be stealthy sheep. So starting in Empire turn 2, the sheep are moved after the Empire troops have made their movement. In this way, it becomes more difficult for the archers to track the sheep. And the third and final rule has to do with random movement. When moved, the sheep will run 2d6 in a random direction as dictated by the scatter dice. So for example, 9 inches in that direction. Of course, if the sheep is within 8 inches of an archer, when it begins its movement, it will run 2d6 inches directly away from the closest hunter, and all sheep stop 1 inch from the board edge. With that brief overview, let's go ahead and get started with Empire turn 1. Starting out with our roll for fog. On a 1 to 5, there's fog. On 6, it lifts. So we have fog. Everything is restricted now, shooting and charging to 8 inches. Alright, let's go ahead and just march all of our guys up their 8-inch movement and bring them into hopefully range to shoot next round. And we can slide this whole line up their full 8-inch march. And there are their final positions. Alright, a pretty short and sweet turn. Let's move us over here to game turn 2, the Empire. Remember, the Empire will move first, and then we will move the sheep in their random movement. And rolling now for fog. This is a big one. 6, no fog. That was a huge roll now, because it means that we'll be able to move some of these guys into range here, and they will be able to use their full charge and shooting range to be able to attack the sheep. So a huge clutch roll of a 6 there. Let's go ahead and move the Empire. Alright, let's go and do a normal move for both of these because we don't want to march, because we still want to be able to fire because we have the full range here. So let's go ahead and move each of these 4 inches up towards these 2 sheep. And there are their final positions. Next, let's go ahead and move these guys up 4 inches. If we move a little bit, I think we're going to have line of sight to the sheep way over there in the distance. Let's see how that looks. And here we are, 4 inches. We do indeed have line of sight to the sheep on the edge there. And unfortunately, neither of these 2 are going to be able to see any of the sheep. They're all blocked by obstacles. Let's go ahead and march both of these. They won't shoot this turn. Send this unit this way and this one around that direction. And there are their final positions. And now, according to the scenario rules, once the Empires finish their movement, which they just have, we can now go ahead and move our sheep in their random movement. None of them is within 8 inches of any other archers, so we will move them all in random directions, 2d6. Starting here with this sheep, we are going to go 6 inches this way. They move within 1 inch of the board edge and stops right there. Next sheep here, we're going to go 11 inches in this direction. And there's its final position, almost getting out of the arc, forward arc of the archers, but still remaining in. Next sheep, we are going 9 inches in that direction. And there we go. Final 2, starting here. We will go 6 inches that way, right there, and our last sheep, we will also go 6 inches that direction. Nice move for these sheep, giving them some nice cover from the archers over here. On to the shooting phase for the Empire. Let's go ahead and see if we are within range. They are going to be out of range there. This crew is within range, so they'll fire 3 shots at that sheep. Alright, we're moved and we're at long range, so we'll be hitting on 6s. No hits. Next, let's have this crew right here. These 3 actually have a line of sight, believe it or not, around that rock on that sheep up on the hill when he moved up there. Let's go ahead and shoot 3 shots there. Moved in long range, also on 6s. We've got 1 hit. Strength 3, toughness 3. 4s. Boom, we got it. And that will bring that sheep down to 2 wounds. Next, let's run over here. Let's start with these 3. We'll fire onto that sheep. Short range and moving, hitting on 5s. No hits. Last one, let's go ahead here and do 3 shots off on this guy right here. Nothing. Alright, that brings us to the end of turn 2. Let's flip it over to game turn 3, Empire. Let's go ahead and roll now for our fog conditions, and we have fog, so everything's restricted now again to 8-inch charges and 8-inch shooting. Charges to declare, we've got 1 charge here. We'll go on to that guy. We cannot fail. And there we go, all 3 archers coming into base contact. And before we do remaining moves, let's go ahead and roll off our random movement for the sheep here. They're going to move here, not that far. Boom. Next one over here, not within 8 inches. He's also going to move 6 inches this way. This one over here now, he is going to be moving 7 inches that way, which will bring him right 1 inch from the edge right there. And our final sheep, set him back up. Our final sheep here will be moving 5 inches in that direction, so right by the board edge. Final position there. Alright, Empire, let's do some remaining moves. They're going to have these guys head up there for that sheep, so we'll march them up 8 inches. 2-inch wheel and 6-inch move, there's their final position. And due to the fog, none of these guys can march, so let's, none of them can shoot or charge, so let's go ahead and march them all 8 inches. And there are their final positions. As you can see, they are coming closer to those sheep, boxing them in. Hopefully they'll be able to finish them off in the next couple rounds. Alright, our only combat here, we have got 3 archers hitting on 3s, and we've got 2 hits wounding on 4s. There is 1 wound, and bringing our sheep down to 2 wounds. And of course, the rules for livestock is this sheep will not be attacking back. It's just trying to flee, get away from the attacks. So that's where the combat will end. And that will once again bring us over here now. We will go to game turn 4. Empire, go ahead and make some movements. Before we do that, let's check for the... Oh, we got it! No fog. This is huge. Empire, your chance to cash in. No fog. All right, we got to take advantage of that good roll here. No fog, so there's visibility. Let's declare a charge here onto that sheep, and that sheep will have to hold. And here's the question now with these guys. Do I try to do a charge or do I shoot them? Well, we're going to be at long range for shooting. That's going to be a 13-inch charge, which means I'd have to roll a 9. I think it's a better chance we would hit with shooting, so we will not charge with either of those two units. And in the same way here, we are looking at a that's going to be a 14-inch charge, which means we'd have to roll a 10 on 2d6. Let's just stick here right now, and hopefully in the random movement the sheep will move closer. Okay, let's go ahead and roll off this charge before we do the sheep. We are at 10 inches, so we need to roll let's see, we get 4, we need to roll a 6. Here we go, come on, give us a 6. Ah, it's a 4! That was like the worst possible thing that could happen. Oh, wow, terrible. So we'll move ahead a measly 2 inches. Oh, we lost a great chance to charge there. Ooh. Let's move on to the stealthy sheep rule now. We've got 2d6 in random direction, and that sheep is going to pretty much stay where it is. We can't move it anymore in that direction. Next, let's take this sheep right here, and we're going to be moving 9 inches in that direction. And that is unbelievably fortuitous for that sheep, because now it is behind this hard cover of the boulders, outside the line of sight of all these guys. Empire, we have visibility, but we're losing our chance. I imagine the Empire archers are so hungry right now, they're just thinking, stupid, stupid sheep. All right, let's roll the next one out here. We're going to go 7 inches. That at least helps. We'll move a little bit closer. And final position there, that will bring that sheep within short range of those 6 archers. And our final sheep up here, let's roll it out. He can't move any further. We'll leave him right there. All right, with that finished off, let's go to shooting. We've got 2 guys shooting here at this guy, and we've got this unit here. We'll be shooting up here. All right, starting with these guys here, we are at long range, but we have not moved, so ballistic skill 3, we need to be hitting on 5s, nothing. And let's run over here. These 6 have no other sheep in sight, so they will go for the sheep right here. 6 of them, they moved, but they are in short range, so they will be hitting on 5s, a measly 1, and wounding on a 4, so no wound. Combat now, let's run over to this combat here. We have got 3 archers that will be hitting on 4s. We've got 1 hit, wounding on a 4. And there's another wound, dropping that one down to 1. So end of that round for the Empire. That was a pretty poor showing, given that we didn't have any visibility. Brings us to game turn 5. Let's go ahead and roll now for the fog. Oh, that was close. We almost had no fog, but we have fog again. Everything reduced to 8 inches. Charges to declare. Let's go ahead and declare a charge up onto that sheep. Pretty hard to fail. No, we definitely passed. And there is the final position there. All right, I'm not sure if I've been following the scenario rules correctly, but I need to move the Empire archers first, and then we move the sheep. So let's go ahead and actually bring these guys up, and then let the sheep make their stealthy move. Let's move them 4 inches ahead, all of them, so that we are able to shoot within 8 inches. And there is their final position. For these guys here, let's move them 4 inches as well, and hopefully we won't be within 8 inches range, but hopefully the sheep will move in a favorable direction for these guys so they can at least get a shot off in this turn. 3 sheep left with random movement. Let's do this guy first. He's going to move 10 inches outward. I swear these Empire cannot get a break. That will bring this sheep 1 inch from the edge behind this rock, so out of line of sight of those archers. Take this sheep next. 7 inches. Not good for the archers. All right, because this hedge is all the way on the edge, we will not be able to actually go through it, so we have to stop 1 inch away from the hedge right there. And the final sheep over here on the edge, going to go, same thing against the board edge, stopping where it is. All right, shooting, let's light it up. We got 6 shots onto this sheep. We're short range, but we move, so we'll be hitting on 5s. And a little bit better than before. Wounding on 4s, possibility to make a kill. And we got it! Wow, and success for the Empire. So we will drop that one down, and we will put a little marker here, a little pool of blood there to show that we got that sheep. 1 down, we got 4 to go. No more shooting since these guys are no longer able to see that sheep. Let's run over to this combat. Hitting on 4s. There's 2 hits, wounding on 4s, this could be it. Got it, the last wound. And this sheep now also will fall where it is. And that will be another dead sheep. With that, we will have these guys just simply reform to get them headed back in the right direction again. So here's how things stand. We've got 2 sheep here that have been taken out. We've got 1 sheep here, 2 units over on this side. On this side of the board, we've got these 2 units here. We've got 1 sheep in combat there and 1 sheep there. Let's run through this combat and see how that goes. 3 attacks, hitting on 4s. Got 2 and wounding on 4s. And we've got 1 wound, so down to 2 wounds for that sheep. Okay, here we go. Game turn 6 for the Empire. Here we go. Rolling for fog conditions. Come on, give us a 6 for no fog. Here we go. And there's a 5, so we have fog again. 8 inches. No charges, but some remaining moves. Let's get these guys moving 4 inches up here. We'll put them on top of the hill. That will give them a line of sight onto that sheep and a good shot if that sheep decides to move any way other than towards the board edge. These guys over here, let's march them over here into the middle. Or maybe even let's move them 4 inches in case the sheep runs into line of sight. And there's their final position, keeping their arc facing forward there. And with these guys, let's go ahead and we'll move these guys out here with their arc facing here. These guys will spin them around and have them face that direction. And there are their final positions. And let's go ahead and roll for our sheep random movement. Oh, look at this, 5 inches taking us more towards the board. So technically I should be an inch away here. 5 inches will bring us right here, right in the line of sight of those archers. And our final sheep here for random direction, let's roll this one out. 5 inches that direction, which should take that sheep actually right an inch away from that combat. So there we are. Shooting, let's run over here. These 3 archers here, we are in short range, but we move, so we'll be hitting on 5s. And there is 1 hit, wounding on a 4-0. And we can run over here to our combat here. We're going to be 3 guys hitting now on 4s. And there's 2 wounds. Whoa, here we go. Wounding us on 4s and 1 more wound. So that'll bring this last sheep down to a single wound. And that brings us now to the end of game turn 6. We have successfully killed 2 sheep as the Empire, and according to the rules of this scenario, 2 sheep killed means that we have had a minor loss. So a minor loss to the Empire. I'm willing to play 1 more round though beyond the 6 turns that we allotted for ourselves to see what happens in the 7th turn, to see if the game will change much. Like I said, you can play 6 rounds if you want to have a difficult, hard game, but you could also play up to 10 if you want to make it easier. Let's try 1 more round and see if the Empire can actually shift from a minor loss to something of a victory. So here we go, game turn 7. Let's go ahead and roll for our visibility. And it is still foggy. Charges, let's go ahead and declare a charge here. Have to hold, I don't think we can fail it. Oh goodness, maybe we can. And no, actually 6 inches will just get us in perfectly. So, whew, that was a close one. There we go. 3 archers in combat. Remaining moves, the only thing we really can do is, this guy's going to have to flee away from these guys, so out this direction. Let's see if we can spin these guys around 4 inches. Maybe we'll be in within 8 inches. So spinning them around like this guy has to, because he's within 8 inches, has to run directly away up to 1 inch on the board. We'll just set him right there. Check this out. No, we're going to be more than 8 inches, greater than 8 inches away, so they will not be able to get a shot off. That really then leaves us just 2 combats. Let's leave this one for the end because there's 1 wound left. That's the most exciting. Let's run over here to this combat. If we're able to get 2 kills, we have a minor victory. Hitting on 4s. Oh, there's 2. Wounding on 4s. 2 wounds. Wow, 1 wound away. So we are not able to kill that sheep. That means we have 1 more combat. If we're able to kill that final sheep, then we've killed 3 and we have a tie. Final combat here. Hitting on 4s. Ah! No! Oh my goodness. Oh, the Empire. Wow, this is not a good game for them. We've got 3 1s, which means that this sheep survives. At the end of round 7, it stands as it did in round 6. We've only killed 2 sheep, which means the Empire suffers a minor loss. Had they killed 1 more, it would have been a tie. Had they killed 2, which they were close over there, it would have been a minor victory for the Empire. But as it stands now, the Empire, after 7 rounds, loses the game against the sheep, and they have very little sustenance to bring back to the front lines for their troops. Well, there you have it, folks. Hunt in the Misty Highlands. If you're interested in playing this scenario, feel free to visit GreyArmyGaming.com, where you can click on the Downloads tab and you will be directed to a place where you can download this PDF scenario for free. As you can tell, there's a lot of different things you can do with this scenario. You could have more sheep, you could have fewer sheep, you could have more wounds on the sheep, fewer wounds, you could have more rounds or fewer rounds, all depending on how difficult you want to make it for yourself. If you don't have anybody you can meet up with and you have a few extra minutes that you want to throw down a game, this might just be the scenario for you. An interesting scenario between human beings and nature. Well, thank you for joining us here today at Grey Army Gaming, where Grey can always play.